Good morning, everyone, and good afternoon to those in South Africa. A hearty, warm welcome to the CuppaChino Club's social TV channel. I'm your host, Brigetti Limbanda, and a warm welcome to my co-host, Viola. How are you today? It's day 12, right, of the lockdown.
Day 12, day 12. Yeah, yeah. It's actually gone quite quickly. I know that I'm quite anxious about this week because I think everybody anticipates that this week is going to be a little more difficult than last week. How are you finding it?
I think, it's kind of, first of all, a very warm welcome to our audience on YouTube, on LinkedIn, and on Facebook. Warm welcome to you, and also those watching us on Twitter. Thanks for joining us. If you want to comment, if you want to ask a question, get involved, participate, join the conversation. We'll show your comments on screen. So, yes, I think, initially it was possibly sort of a shock to everyone's system that this has actually happened. And now we're in week two and reality is kind of setting, okay, this is really happening. And how do we move forward or not?
Yeah.
Because not everyone's able to move forward. And I think sometimes, yesterday's conversation, I think, was a stark reminder to take stock of and to remember our privilege.
Absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. And we've sort of been looking at this whole crisis really from a position of everybody sort of we were talking technology. Which technologies do you use? How are you coping? How are you adjusting? And it's really been more a sort of I want to say conversation with people who were not really going to be that radically, affected. They still had access to tools, still had access to technology. But the conversation with Cindy yesterday was such an eye opener to just really start thinking about people, five, six of them stuck in a room, no connectivity. And then our judgmental side really has to sort of bow its head in shame and say, look, we're just really not thinking about things from the perspective of people who just don't have connectivity and are really struggling, where things like sport and getting together and social gatherings are really an outlet for those individuals. Because for us, when people ask me, I'm saying I'm thoroughly enjoying lockdown because it's just a time to reflect and be quiet, but it's not that way for everybody.
Absolutely. I want to just acknowledge and say hello to Keenan Lawrence, is watching us on LinkedIn. He says challenge equals opportunity. And yes, for many that's true. It's giving us an opportunity to think out of the box and to do things differently. Because as we're saying, it's a new normal. It's business unusual.
Yeah.
Everything is in a state of disruption. And for some people, it means not only doing things differently. Hi, Jerry. Jerry's on watch it. Jerry Anson on LinkedIn. I haven't seen Jerry in ages. Welcome to the show, Jerry. For some people, it's going to mean more than just a little bit of disruption. It's going to mean a radical change or shift in the entire business model, because there
Absolutely.
are some businesses who just simply are not able to sustain themselves at this point in time. And they're going to have to just make a shift. I'm going to give you an example. I know someone who makes curtains, for example, who does upholstery. No one is going to be needing upholstery and curtaining for a while. But they've got the fabric, they've got the staff they need to pay, they've had to close the store. And my suggestion to the owner was, call up all the private hospitals that you've been doing business for, that you've been making curtains for, and other things. Ask them if they need personal protective gear and
Yeah.
masks, and
Yeah.
use what you've got. Ask them what their specifications are. I mean, this is a radical shift, but
Yes.
it's make or break.
But Brigitte, I think that's where it comes to. Are you an entrepreneur? Are you self-employed, or are you a business owner? business owners and self-employed people, then they've taken an opportunity to start a business. But entrepreneurs are the kind of people that can look at a crisis like this and then find an opportunity. They are tenacity. They are out of the box thinkers. And that is why, it's important to actually draw that distinction, that some people are entrepreneurial and some people are business owners. Now, even with that gentleman, contacting the Cape Craft Design Institute and finding out from them, what are other people in similar situations, what are they doing, so that you can learn from the experience of others, and also produce a product that can be sold online. Cushions, curtains, all those products that can be sold online, because people are going to start doing a lot more online shopping now that they've gotten the feel for it. They've realized that a lot of these sites are safe sites. They're going to do a lot more online shopping. So whatever you do have, try and find a space to sort of let go of it online. So it's really about, and I think that's the whole thing about this, this platform that we've created. It's, let's start having conversations. Let's talk about how we can be helping each other, because that's really what it's about in my mind.
Oh, absolutely. And I'm almost thinking we're going to move forward differently. People seem to be more inclined to help one another, and it doesn't have to have a monetary value. I think people should be exchanging services.
Correct.
To help one another, because we're all in this together.
Absolutely.
And so if you're in the IT space, for example, or ICT, how can you use ICT to enable other businesses that have not been online before? It's a service that everybody needs right now. Everyone needs to get online. If you can do something, get online, make your services available. So if you're in the ICT space, this is a great opportunity to come up with innovative ways that people can do business. Now, I've seen one thing. A lot of companies are cutting back on marketing. They're not wanting to do marketing. They think, well, it's not essential. It is extremely essential at a time like this.
Absolutely. I mean, it's the conversation we had with one of our ladies. We were talking about the fact that usually in a crisis where you're cash strapped, communications, marketing are those things that get cut first. In this crisis, it's actually going to have to be the other way around. You are going to have to depend on your comms department and your marketing department to refigure things and really start looking at things differently. So if there's any 3 departments you need to keep, it's communications, because you need to communicate with your clients so they know what exactly you guys are going to be doing going forward. You need to have a creative marketing team that are going to start reimagining how you market yourself, and your technology team, your tech team are going to have to be in that space to support you. But we were talking about one of the things that Cindy was saying in the show yesterday was that they've managed to find a tech funder. Now, a lot of ICT companies very often say they don't spend their CSI budget because they don't really know where to spend it. Well, guess what, guys? There's an opportunity with NGOs just to offer them technology support. It's not something that they offer with. NGOs are doing amazing stuff, and at this stage, civil society and the work being done by non-government organizations and non-profit organizations is essential, especially when you start talking about mental health and emotional health. A lot of them play in the space that helps create that balance. ICT companies need to start really looking at how can they help these NGOs who are helping our communities cope with issues like we have now. It's really become something that I've really had to it's been mulling around in my mind, the importance of NGOs and NPOs in a crisis like this. And yet they are the one social partner that I'm not quite sure has been consulted enough.
No, you're absolutely right. Keenan says this is where corporates should look at supporting the small businesses that are able to support immediate relief, like providing hospitals with blankets and sheets. So those are the kind of practical things that we can do.
Yes.
He says the crisis requires collaboration to provide support services, and I think that is what it's about.
Yeah.
It's about collaborating and being open to collaboration. And this is where your communication becomes so important. It's not the time to go quiet. It's not the time to be silent. It's the time to be communicating with your partners, potential partners, with your clients, with prospective clients. You don't want to be seen as going quiet because people are going to wonder what's going on. Why they're not saying anything? Why they're not communicating? I'm thinking of the CEO of EdCon, who put himself out there in a very, very emotional state. But he did it. It was
Hmm.
important for him to be able to convey that message to
Yeah.
their clientele and to their suppliers. Communication is key to us moving forward.
Absolutely. And even if you think of the one of the first shows we had, I think it was with Chanel, the fact that you also need to be communicating with your internal customer. I think it was Chanel and Liesel both spoke about this importance of just offering supportive messages to your staff who are completely, insecure at this time. And yet you are going to be depending on these individuals to roll out strategies post lockdown and post COVID-19. So offer them, business owners, small business owners, offer them support. One of the things we were saying is, on a weekly basis, just draw them, just create a little video or a little voice note that encourages them and sends it to them, just giving them some level of confidence. And I think Chanel's comment, in terms of the conversation she had with her boss, was that there was this level of confidence and comfort that came through because there had been this. So there is a lot of focus on customers, external customers, suppliers, and funders. But I also think we need to give consideration to your staff and how are you supporting them and communicating to them, not just about what needs to be done and how it needs to be done, but also just offering them some kind of support. But Brigitte, I also wanted to just very briefly mention, one of the things that came out for me that was an absolute highlight. I've shared it, just privately as well, is the whole idea that your Lisa had about, just sticking up whiteboard flip chart pages all around the room. I don't know if you remember that conversation where she had these flip charts all over her office, I guess, was where she had it. And I thought about that and I thought, your mind has the opportunity to be free at this point in time on a certain level, because you don't have that sort of get up at 7, be at work at 8 kind of structure that we're so used to. So your mind is sort of wandering a little bit. It's a great time for you to sort of just have that space where if a creative thought comes to you on new revenue streams, new business models, new business opportunities, new business ideas. I was even thinking extend it to your kids, stick a whiteboard, flip chart, in their rooms and say to them any creative idea on, where we could spend time on a holiday, what we should be doing as a family. Have that space for everybody to just jot down ideas. I just think it's it sends a message to everybody in your home that you guys are open for business and you are open to doing things differently. I just really loved that idea. She was excellent with that idea.
I think the other thing also is having structure in your day. I don't think one has to be as rigid as you would be in the office necessarily, because it's business unusual. There's nothing normal about what we're doing, but there has to be some sense of structure.
Yeah.
If you're spending all your day trying to keep your house spotlessly clean, or all day long trying to play games with your children and keep them occupied, you're not really going to be, productive at all. I think one's got to be flexible, but you have got to have some form of structure. And one way of doing that is to have a today list. This was a tip that somebody shared on LinkedIn, for example. Instead of having a to-do list, have a today list, because a to-do list can get pretty overwhelming, and it's
Mm,
all in the wording. So if
mm,
you have a today list of things that you need to get through, however, when you do it, just make sure you get through that list for today.
Mm.
Be flexible. If your child suddenly falls down the stairs, deal with it. I always think very fondly. I don't know if you remember that incident where a professor was being interviewed on, I think it was BBC or something, and his kid ran in, and
Yes.
wife in tow, um, and he was trying to manage the situation. And hindsight is an amazing thing. But if he had
Yeah.
simply picked up the child and put her on his lap for
Yeah.
that second and just gave her a quick cuddle, she would have probably happily just toodled off on her own, and that would have been the end of it.
Yeah. It
Um,
wouldn't
you
have
know,
gone viral.
so, so be
Yeah.
flexible enough. But it also teaches you another lesson, especially at this time. A lot of people are not used to being on camera. Embrace the moment. Don't seek
Absolutely.
perfection. I mean, in the 3.5 years that I've been live streaming, I've had so many people saying, I can't get on camera because this, I don't have the right camera, I don't have the right lighting, I don't have this, and the list gets endless. Stop seeking perfection. Just be
Yes.
you, do the best you can with what you
Mm.
have. Because right now,
Absolutely.
I don't think your clients are going to focus on the fact that you don't have enough lighting or you don't have the right camera. No one's really going to care about all that stuff. The
Mm-hmm.
fact that you're actually there, making yourself available, staying in communication with them is more than important than anything else. And for those of
Absolutely.
you wondering what technology we're using today, for example, this is a streaming software called StreamYard, which allows you to brand yourself, so that you're still visible to your clients. They can still see your branding. It's very engaging with your audience. You can have conversations with them. Now, Keenan, for example, here talks about what he does. Keenan says his business offers sustainable operations or sustainable water solutions, is able to provide water relief in the form of atmospheric water generation technology. Investing in this technology ensures long-term business sustainability by reducing the risk of water shortages in the future. It also provides huge cost-saving opportunities specifically for the hospitality industry, with a further advantage of reducing carbon emissions and eliminating single-use plastics. Now, we still have a water crisis in South Africa, just in case anybody's forgotten. We still have a water crisis. The water crisis isn't over. And
Yes.
that's more real for people in our informal housing areas.
Yeah.
The Department of Water and Sanitation has done a huge rollout of water containers. And so if we're using most of our water resources, and it should go to those people who dearly need it. So if you're in an industry where you can um, pay for a service like atmospheric water and make the water that we have available to communities where
Yeah.
that's not an option, that's a great thing to do.
And yet, talking about the water crisis, Brigitte, when we were in the throes of that crisis, and government is speaking to us, and everybody was talking about water saving measures, and one of the big sort of, for me, just little symbols of solidarity was the bucket in the shower. Everybody's house that you went to, you sort of, if you had to use the facilities, you would walk in and you'd see a bucket in the shower, and you would go, oh, okay, they're saving water. Um, what's been very, very strange to me, I mean, what I've observed is that there are very few people that still have buckets in their showers. We have gone back to our old behavior in terms of being wasteful, in terms of water as a very precious resource. We have all gone back to being wasteful and not mindful about just how bad the existing water crisis in South Africa is. So it makes me wonder, when this crisis is over, when the COVID-19 crisis is over, and we all sort of back to just to where lockdown's over, how many of us are actually going to go back to our old behavior of sitting in traffic for 2 hours, just going back to our old business models, going back to, just like completely ignoring technology and the ability that it has to help us grow our businesses. And that's going to be interesting for me to just see, like, how many people are actually going to take advantage of the lessons learned now and deal with it. So, I'm just finding that I think that's really going to become an interesting observation. So, one of the things that I think we will need to do is continue to inspire people through our conversations to just take the lessons that have been learned and, just try and embrace that advancement that has come, the opportunities that have come with this crisis, and continue to make that part of your business thinking, really.
I would certainly hope so. I really hope that we've started a new trend in terms of embracing technology. Talking about buckets and water, Keenan agrees on the LinkedIn chat. He's saying, COVID-19 is short term. The water crisis is almost indefinite. The water crisis is
Absolutely.
an ongoing thing. It's not going to go away in a hurry. And
Yeah.
in my home, for example, we still using the bucket system. I
Yeah.
have not changed. It's
Yeah.
been a change that I will continue to use in my home. We
Yeah.
still have buckets, and I don't even apologize for it when we have guests. It's
Yeah.
just what we do.
Yeah.
It's
So,
become the new normal in my home because
yeah.
personally, I think there's another woman out there that's walking up to 5, 6 kilometers either way to try and find water. Right now, we're in the COVID-19 crisis. There's a family out there who doesn't have water to wash their hands. Why am I flushing clean drinking water down my toilet? It doesn't sit
Yes.
well with me.
Yes. So you are in good company. I still have my bucket. I still use my bucket. Not, also, don't apologize for it. Fortunately for me, the bathrooms that we use are sort of private bathrooms. But the point is that I really hope that managers, business owners, supervisors are sitting down and saying, out of this crisis, what have we learned? How are we going to be adjusting our strategy? What is it going to look like in terms of our contractual agreements with individuals? Are we going to now start talking about working from home as an option, and as a business we sponsor or subsidize your bandwidth costs? What exactly is it that we have learned from this, that we can then use to help our businesses become sustainable businesses, so that we can face any kind of crisis, like the water crisis, like the COVID-19 crisis. We really need to sit down and say, what is it that we did well, and what is it that we could have done better, and what is it that we've learned? If we're not doing that, then we're not evolving, we're not maturing in our business. And South Africa really needs mature business owners at this point. Okay, so I'm not sure, Brigitte, if you can hear me. You've sort of frozen on the screen. But let me just talk to our audience. We've really put out I think some really exciting stuff in terms of some of the comments around our shows, and I hope that you'll continue to watch our shows tomorrow, because we'll actually have a guest on show tomorrow. But I really would like to hear from everybody. Once you've watched the show, just let us know what you think about that show, if there are any comments. One of the things we also spoke about, which I really, really enjoyed, was how can we be helping each other. So I think it was Nadia in her show spoke about the fact that a lot of businesses have products that people need to feel, and they need to smell, and they need to touch, and they need to, basically engage all their senses on it. How are we going to actually be able to help those people during this lockdown period, or post the lockdown period, because those are really the businesses that have been hampered in my mind. But really, it's just about having these conversations. So if you've watched the show and we've dealt with an issue, we would love to have comments from our audience on, and solutions possibly.
Any conversation that you would like us to have during the next couple of days about COVID-19 and business and how it's affecting you, um, or if anyone would like to be a guest on the show, let us know. Reach out to us in the comments. Tell us that you'd like to be a guest, and we'll make it happen.
Yes.
So,
So
any suggestions, we welcome any of those suggestions.
Yeah. So just, I think, Brigitte, in closing, we wanted to have this sort of summary show, just summarizing, some of the highlights. And there were many highlights. I mean, Cheryl spoke about being structured, and then Liesel spoke about the fact that she's got no structure. She's just handling every day as it comes. So, the content has been very interesting for me, just everybody's view on how they're handling things. Um, it was fantastic. One of our guests said, I'm a night owl, so the fantastic thing is that I can now work at night, and sleep in the morning, but my work still gets done. So some of the shows, the content has been absolutely brilliant. One of the things we would like to do is at the end of the show, possibly just ask our two guests that started the show to come and join us again. We had a labor relations specialist and an HR specialist to now talk to us about how workplaces are being affected in terms of COVID-19 and the compliance issues. So we have that to look forward to. I'm probably thinking that will be the last day of this official lockdown.
Yes, absolutely. We definitely must do that. Now, Keenan's come up with something that I was thinking about this morning as well. He's saying we should look at creating business networking groups in Cape Town to identify opportunities to collaborate and support each other. Now, I know people have started those sort of WhatsApp group type things for people in a neighborhood, for example. If you need sugar or coffee or tea or whatever, um, then let's exchange, you know, forget about the monetary value, exchange goods with one another. It's a nice neighborly thing to do.
Yeah,
In fact, I was sort of thinking out loud this morning, you know, people could post if you're living in a needy neighborhood, or whatever your circumstances are, if things have fallen off the rails, and you're needing you can't pay your water bill and they're going to cut it, or your electricity, you've run out of electricity or airtime or data, whatever, post that. And if you're in a position to help that person, buy them data, you
yeah.
know fill up their electricity or their water account.
Mm,
It's little kindnesses like that that are not going to be forgotten easily, because this crisis is going to pass, people.
yeah.
But people are going to remember you. If you've reached out and helped them at this time, remember,
Hmm.
these are your future customers and
Yeah,
clients.
yeah,
Now is the time to show kindness and love and consideration.
yeah,
And I
yeah,
like Keenan's suggestion here. Reach out to each other as businesses. Let's collaborate and trade services,
yes.
because we're all in this together. We all, everyone's struggling right now.
Yeah, and
Um,
Brigitte, I think it actually speaks about something even deeper, and that is that entities who are mandated and charged, for example, Business Western Cape, WICBOF, the Chamber of Commerce, etc., these business organizations are going to have to get it together and understand that the one aspect now is business matching, business networking. They are going to really have to think out of the box in terms of how do we assist business at this point in time. I know that Busa have just appointed their permanent CEO. All of these business entities are going to have to sit down, but it also comes down, as you said, to the neighbor to neighbor kind of networking and contact and assistance. The CuppaChino Club, in the work that we're doing, is also just trying to get each other to just let's get talking about how we can assist each other. A lot of the conversations right now are around the support that's being offered by government. A lot of the ladies are starting to tap into that and giving feedback to our group on just how effective was it, how easy was it, has it been, is it an onerous process? So those kinds of conversations around the feedback of everything that's being put forward to be assisting us, I do believe that those things are helping. But we really just need to look at each other and the person next door to you and just say, how do we help you?
Absolutely, and Keenan agrees with us. He says, people like Westgrow, Green Cape, Chamber of Commerce. I must be honest, the Chamber of Commerce has been extremely quiet. I haven't heard anything
Absolutely.
from them. This is a an opportunity for them to step up to the plate, and really serve the business community using technology, because technology is available,
Absolutely.
help the
Absolutely.
members embrace technology for business continuity.
Absolutely. I mean, if they are not having those conversations, look, chambers of commerce and business organizations are already facing huge challenges just about, just being redundant and actually not being as effective as they used to be because of technology. And of course, the fact that you've got the internet and you've got Google and you've got all those good things. But they really are going to have to sit down and say, and please, I say this with all the respect. I used to be the CEO of the Chamber of Commerce, of the Cape Town Chamber of Commerce, and I understand that there are, there's just like so much work for them to do. But I do believe that there's a huge place for the chamber to be playing playing a role in Green Cape, all special purpose vehicles. One of the things is, I must say, our premier has been brilliant in terms of his communication to the province. But again, there are just so many voices that are silent in this discussion. I know that some of the NGOs, the CEOs of the collaborative NGOs, or the caretakers of NGOs, are now starting to make their voices heard. And every single social partner needs to seriously think about how is it that they are going to play a role in helping their constituents get through this. So yeah, there's a lot of work to do, Brigitte, and I think this week too has to be the turnaround week where people are really starting to sit down and say, right, guys, get to it. This is what we need to do to be helping business. This is what we need to be doing to help our communities. So I'm starting to feel that we are running out of discussion time, and we're moving it. We have to move into action time, and I don't think enough discussion has taken place. That's just my personal view on things.
I think this was a great conversation. So to you, watching the show on live and on the replay, if you are in business, what is your business? Does your business have a strategy for if this lockdown is extended, wherever you are in the world? Do you have a strategy for moving forward if the lockdown is extended in your area? And what is your strategy for re-entry into the marketplace in circumstances of business unusual? Let us
Yeah,
know in the comments.
yeah. Thank you so much. This was a good catch up.
It absolutely was. Thanks for watching, everyone, and have a great day further. From me in Cape Town, Brigitte Limbanda, goodbye for now.
Bye bye, everybody. Thank you.